No, you are a big customer of Emirates यार. कुछ तो यूज करो.
अभी तो मैं कुछ नहीं हुआ. Emirates जाता है दुबई तो देख पागल हो जाएगा.
नहीं Emirates.
We are live.
We are live.
Yes.
तो ये सब जोक्स नहीं गए क्या?
नहीं. देवांग को थैंक यू बोलेंगे.
आप
Devang is saying again, I love your conversations. They throw up new ideas and good discussion. Love it. Tuning it from London. Devang, good morning. Very good early morning to you. Thank you for tuning in so early in the morning.
Yes.
It's cool, yeah. They're really cool.
सुबह. But unfortunately, हमारा Indian markets are cooled off as well. A little bit.
अच्छी बात हो रही है तभी तुम बीच में क्या बुरी बात कर रहे हो? यार ठीक है.
आधा टिकट का पैसा कैंसिल.
बाय द वे हम बोल रहे थे नीरज सर को इतने सारे पॉइंट्स पड़े हैं एमिरेट्स के, एक दो टिकट हमारे लिए भी दे दे.
देवांग लाड को हमें मिलना था, हमें लगा
फर्स्ट क्लास में रिटर्न टिकट. एनीवे नहीं यार, टुडे टू थिंग्स वाज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. बाकी सब होता है बहुत जगह आते हैं, बट सडनली दिस जेफ, किसी ने मुझे भेजा राइट,
जेफ गुडलक का
कि भाई इफ यू वांट टू लुक एट एंड that if you want to look at one market or something like that, right, that go out and invest in India and don't look at it for 30 years.
मतलब भूल जाओ 30 साल के लिए.
मतलब this is classic coffee can. Something reason of that. अभी जेफ गुडलक बोल रहे तो
अच्छा मतलब सौरभ मुखर्जी बोले तो आप बोल रहे डेड, अब जेफ गुडलक बोल रहे तो
कोई भी गोरा बोलता है तो रेसिज्म, क्लासिक रेसिज्म.
मैंने ये बोला कि सौरभ मुखर्जी बोल रहा है तो बुरा है. सौरभ मुखर्जी when he started off coffee can investing was a brilliant thing to do. मैं ये भी नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि coffee can investing, देखो just so we don't get misquoted. What we said was that if you're a fund manager, then you can't do coffee can investing because active fund managers in a market like India are making a lot more alpha as opposed to steady state investors, I believe. I may be wrong, but I believe so. Okay? So therefore I said that from that perspective. अगर आपके पास टाइम नहीं है and all of that, if you buy, मतलब आप ये सोचो ना सजीत कि अगर आपने सारे पैसे 2019-20 में सपोज NSE में डाल दिए होते, कॉफी कैन हो गया, 5 साल आपने कुछ नहीं देखा और कैन को 5 साल
NSE में क्यों, मतलब बाकी और भी स्टॉक्स थे ना डालने के लिए.
अनलिस्टेड इसलिए बोल रहा हूं यार, सिंपल है.
अच्छा अनलिस्टेड के लिए. अच्छा वहां पर भी तो सबसे ज्यादा रिटर्न्स आए हैं.
अरे वो ठीक है,
सब वो कैन का वेयरहाउस हो गया होता. एनीवे अभी बताओ आगे क्या करने का.
सिंपल है. सो देयरफॉर बट द लिमिटेड पॉइंट बीइंग कि as a market, I don't think Jeff Goodlak says कि भाई आप डालो और मतलब वो करो. For a US investor who's earning 4-5% yield and now he's betting on dollar coming off by 10% in the next year, right? So therefore he's de-dollarizing his assets and therefore all of them are looking out. In fact, this morning I wrote a small message to a few people saying that are we looking at a period over the next few years wherein traditionally until 2023 maybe money is flowed westwards into the US markets. इतनी बोरिंग बात बोल रहा हूँ क्या आप?
नहीं मैं आप ही की एक चीज देख रहा था कि किसी ने लिखा कि
मुझे सुन लो, मैं सामने बैठा हूँ, साक्षात सामने बैठा हूँ, आप ही की बात पढ़ रहा है. हद है यार, ये तो यार ये है एक्चुअल चीज क्या होती है. इसको
कहते हैं कि क्या कहते हैं,
अरे बच्चा फिनिश अ पॉइंट यार. सो ओवर द नेक्स्ट 10 years व्हाट विल हैपन.
बिंदु खत्म करो चलो.
तो भाई
So क्या होगा? So what are you saying? You are saying that the dollar will continue to weaken over the next 10 years?
No, what I'm saying is, I'm asking that are we looking at a period wherein money will flow from west to east, west to emerging markets, and there could be a large pools of capital coming to emerging markets.
And then therefore, what were the replies or the responses you got?
No, as of now nothing. It's just a private message I sent to a few people.
Sure.
फिर बोला क्या फिर उन्होंने? वो जवाब भी तो दो.
बोला तो सही. ये rhetorical question है. सबका आंसर yes है इस पे. सबका आंसर yes है इस पे.
So that's the play.
It's a cycle, right? A 14-year, 15-year cycle of the US assets having given prolific returns. Some point of time it has to pause. ठीक है. Pause होगा शायद.
So US assets, if just hypothetically, if someone wants exposure to assets abroad, US is not the place to be, is what you're saying.
Select companies might be.
Is Europe still the place to be after this rally?
I mean, it's not virtually been a winner per se, except for separate markets, right? And again, where I disagree with the whole coffee can investing piece is this, right? Hersh also might remember. Sajeet would definitely remember. There's this famous acronym called PIGS, which was coined, right? Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain, right? The bad markets.
They outperformed.
2024.
They outperformed.
The best performing markets was Spain, right? So therefore, ये एक बात है कि आप fill it, shred it, forget it. But
the pigs.
No, valuations
outperformed
matter.
This is bricks.
simple. So वही है. I mean, क्या बता? So yeah, I mean, bullish on India. ये एक दिन का 0.4% doesn't really matter too much. NBFCs, one pocket to look at. Everybody's talking about that.
But especially
So
gold and silver and BFCs, right?
Massive. So somebody just sent a chart to me.
गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर में रेगुलेशन क्या चेंज हुआ? इनको कोल्ड हो गया.
Somebody sent a chart to me.
Sajeet sir,
Queries on Google for gold loan inquiries at particular companies. I don't want to name that company, of course. Have shot up. Google trends show that. It's one nice scuttlebutt way of investing, right? You look at where the buck might be moving and go and park yourself there.
But you know, the one piece we spoke about on this platform with regard to commodities is silver. We spoke about this gold to silver ratio. Silver has now rallied 15% since that point, which is a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal, and it's outperformed gold by nearly 20% because gold has come off a little bit from those highs. So you're seeing that delta shrink very sharply when it comes to the gold to silver ratio.
Sir, have you changed your view on silver?
See, I don't have a view on silver and gold. I mean, broadly, chalo, you invest over the few years, you'll make money, but I can't time these correlations between gold and silver. I'll be very honest. And like I said that time also, because I started my career as a gold trader, right? ये तब से सुन रहा हूँ मैं, अरे सिल्वर इंडस्ट्रियल यूज ये वो सब कुछ होएगा.
मेरा से करके रखा है गोल्ड इन्होंने.
उनके कॉफी कैन में कॉफी गोल्ड है.
गोल्ड कैन.
Coffee gold कहाँ से आया? That sounded like a brand.
That was a bad one.
But gold coffee.
But the attempt was a good one. So
that was a good one. So what are we talking about aside of Jeffrey Gundlach and by the way, Sandeep Tandon in the interview said we should drop that interview. Sandeep Tandon बोल रहा है, look at India for a 30 years the macros have changed.
वो भी Gundlach.
Oh yeah. Boss manages 1 lakh crores of assets यार.
ठीक है, तो Gundlach कोई कम है क्या?
मुझे नहीं पता है Gundlach का कितना assets है. He's had a tough 2024 Jeff Gundlach, but and not that Sandeep Tandon is a very easy last 5 months.
Yeah.
But the limited point being that if boss simple fund है, मैं 1 लाख करोड़ मैनेज कर रहा हूँ, नहीं वो कर रहा है, हाँ, I respect it. Period.
क्या कहते हैं? तुसी great हो kind of thing, right?
तुसी great हो, तो वो कबूल करो.
What else is happening?
MDR.
आपको कभी लगा कि MDR in UPI कभी आएगा? नहीं आएगा. But never know, यार. See, okay, here's my belief. I don't think it's such a bad policy. बात पॉलिसी की नहीं है. There could be a furor over it, fine. अरे it's not. It's see आप ये देखो कि in 2016 demonetization happened,
Yeah.
right? And that was a pivot for digital transformation, right? And at that point in time, the biggest argument which was there was that cash में transaction charges नहीं होते. मतलब मैं आपको कैश दूँ, आप मुझे कैश लो. When you do digital transactions, there is a cost involved to it. Remember that famous debate that happened in Parliament where Chidambaram took on the government on it. And at that time, what the government did, there will be no charges on digital payments, right? Over a period of time, yes, a lot of transaction on UPIs and everything is happening, but there's no charges. It's a cost which has been incurred by the banks and slightly compensated by the government. I think 1,400 crores is something.
And they've reduced that versus 3,000 crore last year.
3,000 crore last year, simple as that. So, from a market perspective, yes, what you're saying is right, that is not a bad policy to happen. But from a government, politically, it's a very bad policy because they were going after cash. And by putting this, anything about 3,000, you are again pushing cash transactions in. So, the point is that, yeah, एक पेटीएम को फायदा होगा या मोबीक्विक का होगा या बाकी सारे बैंक्स होगा जिसके थ्रू आप यूपीआई कर रहे हो, बट आर वी गोइंग बैक टू दैट बैकवर्ड्स
on cash transaction.
I don't
There has to
see
be a
how-
way. There has to be a way to
I don't
compensate
understand.
these companies.
I don't
I
understand
agree.
how.
agree.
No, I'm not talking from the company's perspective.
Yeah.
Forget the companies. I don't care who's the provider, right? I mean, you may use one, I use other. That's okay. Everybody's come into it with their eyes open. ना?
Yes.
कि हम लोग कर रहे हैं, हमें customer चाहिए.
हाँ,
बाद में हमको
बिल्कुल.
पैसा नहीं. I'm not defending that at all.
People are doing it for float. Simple as it.
I'm not defending that at all, Sajeet. My principal point is this: कि the fact कि आप पहले अगर आप store पे जाते थे, you know, no matter what happens, whether even if India is a fully cash society, you're gonna go out with your phone. आप phone तो नहीं छोड़ने वाले हो, right? एक बार हाथ छोड़ दोगे, phone नहीं छोड़ोगे. Simple है, right? So when you're going with your phone and you have that convenience, including my wife, she says, I don't carry cash only because I have my phone. If you're getting that convenience, and if you, for a large transaction, have to pay that negligible sum, and that also the customer doesn't have to pay, the merchant has to bear, right? Merchant अभी भी credit card तो bear कर ही रहा है. Merchants come and tell me, मैं चाहता हूँ कि कोई merchants बोलते हैं हम लोग American Express accept नहीं करेंगे because we have to pay a bit more. Other cards accept कर रहे हैं. So the merchants are happy accepting that deduction from a credit card company. उससे थोड़ा कम अगर UPI transaction में होता है for large transactions. गलत क्या है?
True, I get what you're saying, but in many cases and edge cases, those can be edge cases where you're transacting through a card or something, and the charges go from your account, and people do it, and there's lots of transactions जहाँ पर cards के द्वारा आप कर रहे हो आप, and आपसे deduct होता है वो 2% और 3%.
कहाँ पे होता है ये?
पेट्रोल पंप
होते हैं, कभी-कभी
पेट्रोल
होता है.
पंप्स में होता है. कैसे बात कर रहे हो आप? पेट्रोल पंप में होता है.
Not everywhere, but there are places which mark up by 2%.
Yes,
There are places.
Exactly.
No, but they tell you.
They tell you.
No, they don't tell you.
No.
पेट्रोल पंप में होता है नहीं दिखाता है. कहाँ
Of
करता
course they
है?
tell you, भाई.
नहीं होता है.
Of course they tell
करते
you. You
करते
go
हैं.
to buy a phone. ये तो पूरे भारत में हो रहा है कि
देखो,
आप go to buy a phone. The
payment-
phone guy will tell you कि अगर आप मुझे चेक दे दो या कैश दे दो या जो कर दो, not a problem. अगर क्रेडिट कार्ड से कर रहे हो तो मैं 2.5% कर दूंगा, मेरा GST रेट पड़ता है और तुम देगा that.
हाँ बट
तो बोलता है
हाँ तो
सीधा.
वही तो मैं बताने की कोशिश
पर वो
कर
तो
रहा
आपको बोल के कर रहा है
नहीं
ना,
पर
बड़ी swing
हर
नहीं
हर जगह पे नहीं हो रहा है. हर
कहाँ पे
जगह
नहीं हो रहा है?
पेट्रोल पंप से नहीं होता है.
क्यों पेट्रोल पंप पे तो आपको पेट्रोल पर कार्ड होता है वो
Fuel
आपको-
surcharge
के नाम से आता है.
reversal कर देते हैं.
कुछ कार्ड्स में होता है रिवर्सल, हर कार्ड में नहीं
हाँ
होता.
हाँ
तो
fair.
you can choose,
हाँ,
no, Sajeet.
what I'm trying to say is that कि ये this is one of the reasons why MDR will not come in, and it's going to be political. It's a political hot potato for the
So
government.
that I agree. It's a all I am defending is that if the charge were to come in, and I'm a big UPI user. For
आप अभी
3,000
recently बने थे,
Yes,
हाँ.
but yeah, because was अपना फंडा clear था.
बता मतलब
No, but I wanted I'm a sucker for made in India. I wanted
हाँ.
a made in India thing to
हाँ.
happen here. Simple. But my limited point being this: that if I have to pay more for a large transaction on UPI, and that also the merchant will bear, I don't care. I'm happy. If I'm a merchant and if I have to pay a small sum for somebody transacting over 5,000 at my store, if I'm a store owner, I think I'll be happy to pay it. I'm paying to the credit card.
Yeah,
I'm happy UPI.
but sir, sorry, with all due respect, many Indians will not be happy to pay it
yes
because Indians are very very price sensitive.
But sir,
वो
तो
वो
आप-
आगे through
आप
I mean
credit
on
card पे तो कर रहे
principle,
हैं ना?
हाँ, but credit card पे मैं नहीं भर रहा हूँ. The merchant is paying.
being
इस पे भी मर्चेंट ही भरने वाला
इस
था.
पे merchant भरने वाला है, but credit card पे day one से there is a 2% charge.
That's the difference.
And
क्योंकि आपको पैसे एक लगे हैं.
this is an incrementally additional charge on the merchant. So it's just a sensitive market, sir. So and
Sir,
therefore
I'm-
the sense
so
is
I
that
agree with both of you कि शायद नहीं होगा, but मैं बोल रहा हूँ, is it a bad policy? I don't agree. I think it's a good policy. I think
possibly.
it should happen.
And then the other thing I think that's also playing on the government's head is the fact that it might reverse some of the good things that have already happened with regard to digital. We've moved 2 steps forward on digital from 2016 till now. This may well mean half a step back after those 2 steps forward. Why would you want to do that? That's the other thing.
Okay.
And maybe the incremental revenue that the government makes just from tax disclosures as a result of this and cracking down from a tax perspective, all the records that they get through the UPI system may actually be more value accretive than
Exactly.
the
नो आपने
MDR
सुना
and
नहीं है कि भाई गोलगप्पे
all
वाला महीने के 30 लाख कमाता है यूपीआई से ट्रांजैक्शन.
Yes. There's a whole swathe of assessments which started off last year as a result of this. Tax
आप कैश
assessment.
करोगे तो नहीं मिलेगा आपको.
And this was all automated.
3,000 है सजीत.
अरे बाबा
3,000 रुपए की पानी पूरी खाओगे क्या कभी? नहीं.
अरे बाबा मैं अब आपको बनाने की कोशिश
Sorry,
कर रहा
you
हूँ.
may, but I will not.
मैं पानी पूरी नहीं खाता उतना.
No, but what he's trying to say is it could be other cases,
There are other cases.
where
Simple.
you may have the ticket size may be 3,000 or more, and where he would be accepting UPI to a large extent, and Therefore, that may now start flying under the radar, maybe. And there will be plenty of such cases.
Chalo, there is that MDR Nazara tech open offer. I don't think there's going to be much of a thing, right? But what was interesting was Rekha Jhunjhunwala selling stake just one day before this open offer getting announced, or 2% stake.
Yeah, maybe they knew that इसमें तो कुछ change होना. See, they were not going to tender in the open offer. ये price तो पहले से known था कि ये होने वाला है. This is a similar template that happened in Pratap Snacks open offer, right? Madhu Kela and Arpit Khandewala, etc. Plutus, etc. कि भाई उनके नाम पे स्टॉक भाग गया था. ओपन ऑफर प्राइस पहले से था कि ये उस पे एवरेज पे होगा. वो प्राइस पे ओपन ऑफर है. लोग सबमिट किए नहीं किए, नो प्रॉब्लम. इट डिडंट डैमेज द प्राइस. So therefore, this price also didn't get damaged too much on open.
But
do you what it is right now?
No, it was down. It was down in the morning.
No, open flat.
5-6%.
मतलब चलो होगा तो भी 4-5% one day move. I don't think it will really cause a material damage to this.
But it gives an indication, na? Do you sell it in the market? Why do you want tender?
Sorry, it bottomed at 1250. It's now 1272. So
And what? So how much down?
it's 2% up from the bottom.
But overall कितना down है?
Overall, it's down like a tenth of a percent. Flat line.
That's what I'm saying. नहीं है इसमें कुछ material.
ये 1200 के ऊपर ही रहेगा basically.
और यार mainly there is a let's assume that if this promoter is considered to be a smart promoter in gaming, now he's got deep pockets along with him. Simple funda.
And will they be coming on the board?
He's
On
diluted.
board?
He's coming on. They're coming on the board. They're going to become like the promoter group. So there are going to be 2-3 promoters. Yes, and the other piece is also that he's diluted to a large extent. We've done a KYC on this, by the way. So not that we preempted this, but in the sense that we knew that there's going to be this open offer at some point. So we did a KYC, and I mean, we can drop the link for you if you want. I wasn't particularly impressed with what.
Did you happen to see trend annual report?
No, I haven't.
Even I haven't.
I just read through it.
आप बताइए.
Zudio is the entire play which is there in this. It's I think now it's almost 9,000 crores of revenues out of 17,000 coming in. मतलब it becoming a Zudio play rather than a West Side or Star or Star Bazaar kind of play which is there. Zara is I think they have a JV with Zara which is also having a turnover of some 2,300 odd crores. So from that point of view, yes, it's a Zudio which is there. Last year's entire penetration into other markets was into tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which for them revenue per square feet has gone up despite that thing, despite the fact that they have entered into tier 2 and tier 3 and expectation that prices will be much more muted in those things, but they have grown and they invested some 2,000 odd crores last year in expansion. So and last 5 years, man, they have done some 6,000, 7,000 crores of investments, which is there. Now I think it's now reaching, and I think Noel Tata has already said that he wants to see the revenues go up 10x or something. In last 2 years, it's already 2x, twice already ho gaya. So, the point is that I think they are now in a point that jahan par they should kick off from here, because now the investments are coming in, cash flows are coming in, and they are able to do it. But Trend is a company where you don't get the management, we don't see the management much, we don't get to speak to the management. The only way to look at it is the annual report, and the annual report gives you quite a bit of insights into what's happening in the company and what they are planning to do. So, and plus they got into the beauty and beauty care segment, which is an emerging segment which is growing at a very fast rate for them. So that's going to give a play or run for money for Nykas and the others which is there.
Okay. Cool. Guys, I'll have to bounce in 3-4 minutes.
Yes.
If there are topics pending, या एक दो question ले लें.
Questions ले लेते हैं. OMCs के बारे में, can you please let us know how global prices affect OMCs?
ये तो सिंपल है. Prices move up, but I think these are still comfortable levels.
Yes.
मेरे हिसाब से सजीत ये marketing margin का benefits ये quarter के numbers में दिखेगा. Right?
Correct.
पहले 2 quarter में
नहीं दिखा था.
October, November, December and Jan, Feb, March में
नहीं दिखा था क्योंकि high inventory losses थे.
अभी शायद ये numbers आएंगे, so the numbers will look good. My bet is that.
Yeah.
City का report भी अच्छा था कल.
No,
Morgan का report
but let me answer that. So basically, you have crude oil. The price of crude oil is fluctuating. OMCs are selling at a fixed rate, and therefore the crude oil that they purchase to sell and to market is actually fluctuating, which is why any spike in crude oil causes a compression in margins. And that's why not favorable to them. You're seeing a BPHP under pressure today.
Casey has a question for you. Niraj, fair point on the dollar weakness and reversion of flows, but Trump is here for 3.5 years. Do you think this reversion will be a blip for next few years and not a mega trend?
I don't think anybody is in a position to be able to predict what will happen to the currency per se. I'm only resting on the shoulders of a few people who are believing that after so many years of an outflow, one, that there is a natural cycle turn that could happen, and two, if a Jeff Goodluck, Jamie Dimon, and some others are saying, right, that maybe there is a case for some dollar depreciation. मतलब आप सोचो, when Donald Trump came in, if somebody would have told that the DXY from 108 109 will be sub 100, you would have thought कि नहीं यार वो भी नहीं होने वाला, but हो गया, sub 100 भी हो गया. So can it go down further? Sure it can, and therefore can it build up into a trend again? Very likely. I mean, difficult to predict, to be very honest. But so I wouldn't bet my money on that instrument. So if there is an instrument which is available, which is saying that if you bet on this, if you bet on this, and then therefore if the money were to move there, you will make money, I wouldn't do that. But would I bet on inflows coming into India over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, and therefore investors in India making money? The answer is an unequivocal yes.
Sir, आपको एमरेट्स से फोन आ रहा है?
Better half. One last question.
अच्छा, okay. Niraj sir, where do you buy your formal clothes from?
No, currently though.
From London.
There's a store called Gabbana. It has got 2 stores and a car, and they have sponsored some of our formal clothes. Otherwise, Raymond.
Yes. अब रेमंड शॉप भाग जाएगा.
जरा भी नहीं सर. काश कैसा होता.
हर्ष के लिए काफी क्वेश्चन है. मींस someone is chasing you for integrate KYC.
हाँ boss.
Sanchit Goyal is chasing you. Was disappointed to see.
I'll have to bounce.
Yes.
Yeah. See you guys.
Yes,
See you
bye.
on Monday.
Yes.
See you Monday.
Thank you everybody. See you.
दुबई में शेख को हमारा हाय बोलना.
जी जरूर.
कैमरा तो वो तो लेकर.
उनको आपका सिग्नेचर चाहिए था.
किस चीज के लिए?
निकाल दिया
ना आपने.
See you guys.
See you, sir.
He's saying disappointed to see Integrate saying that the DPU guidance is not conservative on KYC.
No, yeah. So I wouldn't look at it particularly negatively. I would say that they've done fairly well where DPU is concerned. From maybe 12.5 rupees per share of DPU in 2022, it's currently at 16 rupees, which is the FY26 guidance.
It's not bad.
Which is not bad at all. I mean, it's a decent growth over the last 3 to 4 years. So I wouldn't be too bothered. It's a 10% 1 year forward in terms of returns that you're getting, which doesn't look too bad.
And he's saying that
I wouldn't be too disappointed.
And does that mean no extra benefits for investors with these rate cuts, or am I missing something?
No, rate cuts I don't think will impact the company in a significant fashion. Of course, it does from a lending or a borrowing perspective.
It reduces the cost of borrowing.
Yes, it does. It does.
So
it
that
does.
extra cash comes into the.
But so again, very interesting. Actually, what I should do is I should text Hersh and I should ask him. I mean, Hersh is the managing director of Integrate, and I should ask him what that impact will be. Maybe I missed that. So let me do that. Let me check on that and get back to you. Maybe Sanchit.
Abhinav Mandal has a question on good time to add more BSE, or should we wait?
Wait.
Last few days there has been this talk about premium turnover coming down and all, right?
I would wait for sure. I think
I think
the run-up has been very
significant actually, and it's primarily on the back of this NSE expected IPO.
Yeah, it seems
but IPO अगले एक मतलब year end से पहले तो आने वाला नहीं है. It will take at least that much of time for the IPO, for the DRHP to file, SEBI to approve, and everything to happen, right? So
yes,
it little. But if you are looking at the premium turnovers of BSE, just go and read a piece we have written on the site. That the price, the premium turnovers have fallen for not only BSE but for NSE in the last few days, especially from the beginning of the week. Apparently, there has been some kind of inquiries which have gone into these delta trades which are happening on the trading desk. And delta trades are nothing but option trading, which is high frequency option trading, where they trade on the premiums. and it's primarily done by high frequency traders or hedge funds, and so this inquiry has caused some kind of pause to the intensity of the trade, and that's the reason why premium turnovers have fallen for both BSE and NSE. So.
But be very careful, guys. In this space, I think even though it's a duopoly business, the stock run up on both the unlisted space in NSE, we discussed this, as well as in the listed space in the BSE has been very sharp. So you kind of want to be careful in these pockets. Of course, pre-bonus, we did suggest and we put it on record saying that you should not sell BSE because once the bonus comes through, you might see a bit of an uptick. That has happened. Just due to positive sentiment, nothing else. Fundamentally, nothing changes. But you want to, you just want to be careful. Do your research, have a good hypothesis, have a long runway if at all you're invested in some of these names.
There is a question from Vigin Dharan. Is paint sector story playing out in food delivery apps? No, but it can have I think, impact on the margins for some of the companies like Zomato or Eternal and Swiggy, because it started off from Bangalore, which is a big market for these food app companies, basically food delivery companies. So if they go, see, there's a disruption in model. Please understand here what's happening. The model so far used by Swiggy and Eternal is that you go to a restaurant, you go and tell them, okay, please come on board. Swiggy and Zomato charge a commission from the restaurant. So what the restaurant does is that it hikes the price of the it hikes the price of the entire food item which you're trying to buy, and then these guys provide a reverse discount. So you get a feeling that I've got a discount, but it's still higher than the price at which you would have bought directly from that restaurant. What Rapido is doing is saying that I'm going to charge you the same fee, which is 199 rupees. We took an example which Agni had taken, the chicken burger, 199 rupees, and based on that, I'll add the transportation fees and I'll provide it to you. For the restaurants, Rapido is saying that for now I'm not going to charge you anything, but subsequently I will charge you a subscription fee, which could be a monthly subscription fee or an annual subscription fee. And you can play on the volumes there, and then you bring down the cost. So I think restaurants, and for the restaurants and for the consumer, is a very good deal which is coming, because the customers are not paying 30-40% higher than the restaurant fees, and for the restaurants they save on the commissions which they are paying it. So it's a good deal for both of them. Is it going to disrupt both the way Eternal and Swiggy is going to work going forward? May not, or maybe as well. If Rapido says, I'm going to go into the 7 big cities, which account for a large chunk of this kind of market, then it will impact. But if it's not going to expand beyond, then it's something. So we have to do. So that's a thing. Otherwise, we are almost.
We have a lot of questions, guys, but sorry, we're out of time.
Yeah,
we'll take some of these tomorrow if that's
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Even I need to run for a meeting, and
yes.
Sajeet sir as well. So, thank you guys for joining us. And yes, we appreciate, a couple of people appreciating us. Vigin Dharan has asked on the paints, which we've addressed. But I think we have Vihari who's saying that we are doing, it's a great job we're doing and fun to watch. Thanks, Vihari. We'll take your question on Power Grid tomorrow, Vihari. Very interesting one. And then we have another one, Web of State on EID and Wellspun.
We'll take that too tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.